He handed me $50 for saving his company. So I built my own empire, then bought his just to burn it down. Lauren VO, calm and sharp. What do you say when the man you spent your whole life trying to impress throws a $50 bill on the table and tells you that's what your effort was worth? You say nothing. You fold the bill. You stand, and you never look back. Int dining room, night, golden light, cold air. My father, Richard Caldwell, didn't even look up from his steak. Lauren, let's be realistic. You're great at technical things, but leadership, that's not your strength. Across the table, my sister Emily sipped wine in a designer dress she didn't earn. She hadn't lifted a single finger while Caldwell Enterprises was drowning in debt. Now, she was being handed the entire empire, the company I had saved. We need someone with presence, Dad added. Someone who commands respect. He reached into his wallet and tossed a crumpled $50 bill onto the table. For your effort. Flashback, late night office scenes. Code, coffee, eye strain. I had worked 70-hour weeks, wrote the software that automated our logistics, rebuilt our systems from the ground up. That tech had turned Caldwell from a collapsing relic into a $300 million powerhouse. And now, $50. In tea dining room, Lauren's POV, the bill between her plate and wine glass. Mom shifted in her seat, uncomfortable. But she didn't say a word. No one did. Lauren VO. That's when I understood. It was never about merit, never about loyalty, never about results. It was about control. Lauren folds the bill, tucks it into her napkin, stands slowly. Lauren, I'm not being dramatic. I'm just excusing myself. Clearly, I'm just a background character here. So I'll exit the scene. Emily chuckled. Dad waved me off. But I didn't slam the door. I didn't raise my voice. I just walked. Lauren VO. That night, I looked at the codebase on my laptop, the one they used to save their company. They thought it belonged to them. But what they didn't know is that I'd already built something else, something they couldn't touch, and they were about to learn. You don't insult the architect and expect the house to stand. Lauren VO. The next morning, I still showed up to work. Same time, same black coffee, different reality. Into Caldwell Enterprises, lobby morning. As I stepped into the building, the energy had shifted. People looked away too quickly. Whispers stopped as I passed. Something was wrong. Into executive floor, Lauren's office. My door was already open. Inside, my desk had been cleared. No laptop, no nameplate. No trace I'd ever been chief technology officer. Sitting in my chair was Emily, feet crossed, lipstick fresh, holding a file she didn't understand. Emily, smiling. Oh, good morning, Lauren. Didn't Dad tell you? I'll be using this office now. Into office corridor. Lauren stands in silence. Lauren, what's my position then? Emily tilted her head like she was assigning chores. We'll figure something out. Maybe something in IT support. IT support. In the company I had saved. Emily. Dad thinks you should take some time off. Maybe work on a hobby project. She was smirking, but my face didn't change. Lauren, VO. They wanted me gone, not fired, just erased, like a slow deletion from memory. But I didn't argue. I nodded, walked to the far end of the building, where the intern sat. Inti intern cubicle corner. Lauren sits at a tiny desk, expression unreadable. My new workspace was smaller than a supply closet. No name tag, no respect, just silence. And yet, I watched. Montage. Emily leads the company. Emily flounced into meetings unprepared, dismissed data, prioritized brand aesthetics over functionality, fired veteran department heads, replaced them with her friends. People who couldn't read a financial statement, but could pair rosé with goat cheese. Lauren VO. She had no idea how to run a company. And my father? He was blind with ego, convinced that charisma outranked competence. But I saw what they didn't. The foundation was already cracking, and all I had to do was let it fall. Lauren VO. Revenge isn't loud. It's quiet, deliberate, and best served with paperwork. In tea, coffee shop. Evening. Low light, laptop open. 3 figures sat across from me. Jake, Maya, David. The best people I'd ever worked with. All gone from Caldwell within a month. Not fired, just smart enough to jump ship. Jake, our former CFO Maya, data genius. David, the only engineer who knew my code inside out. Jake, serious. What's the play, Lauren? I pulled out a folder. Inside, plans. Architecture, the future. Lauren, we build something better. They didn't hesitate. They were in. INT, Nova Systems, night, garage-style office space. We worked in silence, long hours, fueled by caffeine and fury. What they didn't know was that Caldwell Enterprises never owned the core. The version of the software they used was outdated. The real version, the one that scaled logistics in minutes, not days, never touched their servers. It was mine. And now, it was Nova's. Montage. Nova grows quietly. Code deployed. Website launched. Pitch deck finalized. Within 3 weeks, 3 offers. By week 4, a $50 million contract signed with one of Caldwell's biggest legacy clients. We didn't announce it. We didn't need to. Lauren, VO. The first time my father noticed was when Parker and Lang pulled out. They'd been with Caldwell for 12 years, gone overnight. Then came Maxwell Freight, then Eastway Global, like dominoes, one by one. Emily panicked, started firing mid-level execs, blaming systems, blaming staff. But the truth was simpler. The future had arrived, and it didn't wear designer heels. INT Nova boardroom. Lauren smiles, flipping through a fresh contract. The numbers were climbing. The software was outperforming anything on the market. Nova was lean, fast, deadly, and no one knew who was behind it. Yet, Lauren, VO. I didn't need headlines. I didn't want applause. I wanted results, and I got them. By the end of Q2, Nova was valued at $120 million. And Caldwell? They were bleeding from 1,000 silent cuts, all self-inflicted, all deserved. Lauren, VO. It didn't happen overnight, but when empires fall, they fall fast. In T. Caldwell boardroom, morning, tense. Emily stood at the head of the table, face pale, voice shaking. Emily, we're restructuring. Everything's under control. But her hands were trembling. The shareholders weren't buying it. Neither were the press. The leaks had started about client losses, cash flow issues, internal chaos. One investor finally stood. Investor. You removed the woman who built this system and replaced her with wine club friends. That's not strategy. That's nepotism. Emily had no response, because there wasn't one. In T Tech Innovators Gala, night spotlight. While Caldwell tried to patch leaks, I was stepping onto a stage. Host, off camera. Tonight we honor Lauren Caldwell, founder of Nova Systems, whose revolutionary software is transforming global logistics. Applause roared. Cameras flashed. I walked across the polished floor in a custom black dress. No speech, just a nod, a quiet smile, and then I saw them. Cut 2, crowd. Back row, Richard and Emily sitting in silence. No spotlight, no recognition, just regret. And the realization of what they'd lost. Lauren VO. It had been a year, 1 year since they handed me a $50 bill for saving their empire. Now I stood at the helm of my own. Nova Systems was valued at $300 million and rising. Caldwell, barely clinging to survival. They had no idea how far they'd already fallen, but they were about to find out. In T, Nova office, day, Lauren reviewing reports with Jake. Jake, Caldwell just lost another 2 contracts, I nodded. They'll come crawling soon, he grinned. Think they'll ask nicely? Lauren, I hope not. In T, Caldwell lobby, days later, Emily and Richard wait at reception. My assistant buzzed in. Lauren, your father and sister are here to see you. I leaned back in my chair, steady, calm. Send them in. They walked in like ghosts. Richard older, slower, Emily, makeup flawless, but eyes hollow. Lauren VO. They had come to negotiate, to plead, to admit the unthinkable. They needed me. In T Nova office, Lauren's desk. Power dynamic reversed. Richard measured. We underestimated you. Caldwell Enterprises needs leadership, real leadership. Come back. We'll rebuild together. I smiled slightly. Lauren, you don't need a leader. You need a buyer. Their eyes widened. They didn't know it yet, but I'd already made the first move. Into Nova boardroom, morning, silence, tension. Emily and my father sat across from me, but this time the roles were reversed. No steak, no chandeliers, just contracts and consequences. Richard, careful, rehearsed. You'd return as second in command. Right beneath Emily, of course. I blinked, then laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. Lauren, you offered me $50 for saving your empire. Now you want me to take orders from the woman who almost burned it down? Emily stiffened. You built software. That doesn't mean you know how to lead. I leaned forward, voice cold. My company is worth $500 million. Yours is weeks away from bankruptcy. Explain to me again. Who doesn't know how to lead? Silence. Pure, clean, satisfying silence. Richard, trying again. Lauren, please. This isn't about ego. This is about survival. And there it was. Please. From the same man who once tossed a $50 bill at me like I was a waitress. Now he was begging. Lauren VO. I could have walked away. Could have let them fail quietly. But some things deserve a proper ending. In T Nova conference room, Lauren slides papers across the table. Lauren, here's my counter. Richard scanned the first page. Froze. Richard, this is a purchase agreement. Emily, shocked. You're buying Caldwell Enterprises? Lauren, no, I already did. They stared at me. Lauren, the bank was liquidating. I placed a direct bid. It's mine. Emily's face drained of color. You're not just buying it? Lauren, I'm dissolving it. Intem boardroom. Richard trembles with rage. Richard, you're erasing our legacy. I smiled, calm, certain. Lauren, no, I'm erasing your control, your ego, the name that tried to erase me. I pointed to the final clause on the document. Lauren, all Caldwell trademarks, patents, and licenses, absorbed by Nova Systems. The name is retired, permanently. Emily, choked. You're just doing this to get back at us. Lauren, no, Emily, I'm doing this because some things deserve to die. I picked up the pen, signed, and just like that, the Caldwell era was over. Into Lauren's penthouse, night city lights outside. I stood by the window. Below me, the skyline shimmered. Nova Systems lit up the tallest building downtown. Caldwell Enterprises was gone, dissolved, retired. Not a single letter of that name would ever appear in business again. Lauren VO. For the first time in my life, I felt peace, not triumph, not revenge, just peace. In T, Nova headquarters. Day, modern, thriving office. Every morning, I walked through halls filled with engineers, analysts, leaders. Not chosen by bloodline, but by merit. No one got here because of a last name. They earned it. Ein T, fireplace, penthouse night. A letter arrived, no return address. Inside, one short sentence. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll understand. Dad. I stared at it, then tossed it into the fire and watched the last remnant of Caldwell Enterprises turn to ash. Lauren VO. I didn't need him to understand. He never truly saw me, and now he never would again. In T, gala invitation, gold embossed card on Lauren's desk. It was accidental. I was never supposed to be invited. The annual Caldwell Gala, revived, hosted now by whoever bought their mansion at auction. Poetic, really. I almost threw it away. But then, I made a different decision. EXT, gala night, red carpet, flashbulbs. I arrived in silence, custom gown, no entourage. Just me, Lauren Caldwell, the name they tried to bury now worn like a crown. In T, gala hall, chandelier, music, whispers. People whispered as I entered. Is that her? That's Lauren. She runs Nova now. Didn't she destroy Caldwell Enterprises? I ignored them. I wasn't there for them. I was there to finish the story. Cut 2, far end of the room. Richard and Emily alone, quiet, out of place. He looked older. She looked bitter. I walked up to them. Emily straightened. Richard opened his mouth. Richard, I suppose this is where you gloat? I smiled softly. Lauren, no, this is where I say goodbye. Emily blinked. What? Lauren, I don't need revenge. I don't need to prove anything anymore. I set down my drink, looked them both in the eyes. Lauren, you tried to erase me, but I built something no one could take. I won't waste another second on people who never saw my worth. Goodbye. And just like that, I walked away. Lauren V.O. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. Of mine. Not Caldwell's. Mine.